Nick, thanks for my week off last week. I really enjoyed it. Good times over there.
Yeah,
I did listen to the
struggling with
episode.
the internet.
Was well done. Let's continue on. There was a phone conversation I had last week that I want to start off with. Got to connect you into this conversation. And let me kind of give you a little bit of backstory, okay? Like 17, 18, 19, when we kind of came out from Oklahoma into the nation and started doing online and all that stuff, we were all local at first. So I had a chemical rep from a national company that we dealt with on a regular basis, right? That now, as we were starting to put out our own things, and one of them was a ceramic coating, he had a lot of questions because they were a car wash chemical manufacturer.
So
So you
this
can
is what you're talking
understand.
about. What 7, 8, 9 years ago? You guys are having
Mhm.
this conversation.
Yep. And so they were wanting to kind of be ahead of the curve and wanted to start picking, what was I doing? I was trying to sell. Hey, right? Because some other people you met where I was trying to sell them some
Yep.
coatings and they just did not want to pay. What was
Yeah.
one of them like under $5 or something? It was
Oh,
something
that
crazy.
company's pretty well known for how do we get a $2 coating and charge $225. So for
Mhm.
those anybody in this business listening that's really behind the scenes, they probably know that company.
Yeah.
They were pretty active.
So this is one that I was trying to hustle, but at the same time, we were buying some other stuff from them. So we're trying to do one of those. They end up coming out with their own stuff, of course, right? Good for them. Go ahead. Uh, and over the years, he would still call and ask some questions. Well, he got hit with a question from a lady that owned 17 locations.
Hey, what's her phone number?
Exactly. Who is this? Right? 17 locations, but she's got a problem. And it was a problem that she had diagnosed and was blaming ceramic coatings. So we got a car wash now
That sounds about
blaming
right. That sounds about right.
blaming ceramic coatings, and she was blaming them for having water spots. Said, well, we don't have it except on some of these cars. And when we talked to the people, they got a ceramic coating. Like, whoa, okay, interesting. You had enough people. You want to call your manufacturer and ask about a coating. Well, he goes, hold on, I know a guy. Right. So
Yeah.
that's why he calls me. It's like, great. Thanks, man. Do I bill you now?
Thanks for tapping us in.
Yeah. Like I didn't bill you back then, but I
We can
mean,
bill you
Jesus,
now.
we've developed a little bit more than then. It's just like one of those, like I get to charge you.
Hey, a
But
little
anyway,
different than 8 years ago.
yeah, we had a good time, catching up, but they do have a serious problem. And so let's talk about it. Are ceramic coatings or are there select ceramic coatings, or how do we know if a certain ceramic coating might be more susceptible to water spots?
Yeah, I mean that's always been the $10 million
Who knows,
question.
right?
I've never been able to. Now, when I first started coating cars, probably pretty similar to you. You may have missed it. I mean, every coating got water spotted once upon a time. I mean, it was like if it just saw rain in the distance, you felt like the car got water spots.
Some people tried to then come out with, hey, our water angle's better than others, so it allows it to roll off more. Some people over the years began to go, well, our sheets, so you have no chance of a water spot.
What I think is that we got better with base and top coats. I mean, for anybody that wasn't around, everything was a 2-part system. You'd lay kind of a sticky base coat and then a very slick top coat. I think that didn't always marry well. Not to get too technical, I think there were some issues with some of those systems, and you were just kind of getting through the beginning stages of this, evolving technology, right? And I think it's a better technology today than it's ever been. But here's the interesting thing to talk about with our crowd, and I think it's always worth talking about this, that we essentially are watching people not want to take accountability. Here's somebody who owns 17 locations. They are looking to blame something. How do I blame something? Because we all know they didn't pick up the phone and call all those people and say, what coating do you have? Who coated it? Is it a real coating? What is going? I mean, they didn't do any of that homework.
No,
I mean,
but that's what I told them. The homework needed to be done.
100%. I mean, and anybody listening to it, that's the common sense thing. When somebody tells me that their coating isn't working and we didn't coat the car, I go, who coated it? What product did they use? What did they tell you they used? How many years is it supposed to last? How have you taken care of it? The same 20 questions we all know to ask. And again, we all bag on the car wash. I think you and I are a little bit more realistic about the car wash world than most people in this whole thing.
So what was funny is this car wash owner not only questioning coatings, but then dogging the dealership.
Yep.
Right? Dogging the other stuff,
Sure.
like,
Sure.
It's got to come from there. It's got to come from there, which is one of my questions to him is like, how do we know where it came? We don't. And what do we know about the coating then? If it's not spotting, we don't exactly know, but we do know maybe what it's stored in, right? Like
Sure.
we can definitely tell if something's of quality based on what the apparatus is holding the coating.
Sure. And this is why, if we're talking to professionals or even if you're a DIYer at home, one of the things is you got to get into the questions. And so many people don't want to do that. As you probably heard during the phone call, this car wash owner, we have a problem. We asked no pertinent questions to this exact problem because here's what should be the truth. And you owned, for those that don't know, just started listening to us, Marty at one point was an owner in a car wash. You've sold chemicals to car washes. You're very familiar with all this. Why are you leaving water spots on anything? Why are you leaving anything on anything? Why isn't it, hey, let's look at our mixture of chemicals. Let's look at our process. Let's look at our equipment. Let's look at how it's all being set up. This is what we tell people about going through a car wash is that this lady who owns 17 of them is showing you that it's a crapshoot because she doesn't want to take responsibility because you shouldn't even water spot regular paint that it doesn't have a coating on it, doesn't have anything on it. You shouldn't do any of that.
One other side, you could go, listen, if it had a coating, it should be more hydrophobic. So when it goes to the
100%.
dryer, it should come out less,
Good point.
less wet, quote unquote, I guess you'd say, more dry.
Yeah. So look, if it's a dealership coating, we all can insert the joke here. Right? we can all insert our jokes here.
Okay, what about the one? Remember, there was this one dealership that used to put on something that you could put on jets, and they would call it like, "Hey, if it was good enough to put on this, you could put on a car, right?"
Yeah.
And it's always like, "Well, that's interesting." Well, that place and that location that was heavy on that, you know who they switched to after that? The company that says you can wash your car and it's ceramic coating. You go, wait.
Well, and so let's have a conversation here. A car wash owner or a dealership owner or anybody that's not really professionally on the side of detailing talking about coatings negatively when everyone else has been the real downfall of the word ceramic, including car washes. You can't go to a car wash here. There's car washes here that use graphene all over their stuff. There's car washes that use ceramic all over their billboards and whatnot. Same probably where you guys live. And now they're getting some backlash because they've screwed some things up. And they want to go, well, that's not a real ceramic coating. Well, no offense. If you own a car wash, you don't even know what a real ceramic coating is because you've never applied one. You've used the word ceramic improperly we got to be going on close to 5, 7, 8 years now, at least when it started, somewhere around there. I mean, you started seeing it pop up. It's now everywhere. And it's not about fixing anything. And this is where I think the professional on our side of things really has, instead of getting mad about it, you have to realize that these are education points to your potential customers. If you're a DIYer, these are things you need to be aware of. If it's not in a glass or aluminum bottle, it's really difficult to call it ceramic. There's some thick plastics that people are using, but let's just stay to the facts. Glass, aluminum, stuff like that that's very, 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 can stand up to the solvents and the ingredients in the coating. There's your warning sign. At the end of it, that's your warning sign. Use it as the warning sign. Be good with the warning sign. Call it a day. And car wash owners aren't going to know that. And doesn't seem like she really wants to get educated on what is going on here. Because when you don't point the finger at yourself first and you start blaming all this other stuff, you shouldn't water spot anything as far as I'm concerned. And you're a guy that would know better than me. I mean, I would assume you try to stay away from that in just the way you put the chemicals on the car.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I talked to him the first and I was like, hey, Ryan, let's go over this. Like, first off, let's talk about what is she getting and who's got what on what car. And, we came to we're not ever going to be able to find out unless they go do the research, which is
Yeah.
what I told like you had said. And I said, Ryan, they got to figure this out. They can't depend on other people. They got to ask the question, find out where this is coming from in order to get down to the bottom of it. And you're right, though. She should be more concerned about why is she having anything spot out of her car, out of her car wash. I think the second point, which I told him, and I said, to kind of just keep going with it. I said, it's ironic to be talking about this with you. I said, but, there's this post, and here's the post. I'll read it. This is from this guy named Michael, not in our group, in some other group. And he says, this has probably been asked before, but what are the best exterior and interior detailing products at Walmart? Doesn't have to be specific brands, honestly. Basically looking for just some must-haves.
Would you need a brand to know what to buy? You think you just walk into the aisle and it says car shampoo and you just
car
pick
shampoo
one?
X. And so I told him about it, and I was like, Ryan, and said same as you. I said, Ryan, you could go to any car wash around here. Had a laugh with him. Like, how long do you tell your customers that what you're putting on your car? So Ryan, you've got a water-based quote unquote ceramic. He laughs, like, yeah, I know, because we talked, I know. He goes, I only say it a couple weeks, a couple washes.
Sure you
like,
do.
Right? Sure you do, Ryan. Sure you do. Mm-hmm. That's what you used to tell us about that Carnauba wax lava that was before there, and now we're in the same bubble. Like,
we're in the same thing, but we're in ceramic.
Come on.
I think one of the interesting parts of all of this is, the customer continues to be burned. I think there's more confusion than I certainly had a decade ago when hardly anybody was putting coatings on at a high level. We have all kinds of confusion in the market. And to me, this is an opportunity. It's not only an opportunity of people that, for you guys that create content for your own brand, your own business, is to start going through these things. You don't have to, I hope you guys don't I'm not talking derogatory about car washes. They exist. They're always going to exist. They're a massive business around the car world. That's what some people are going to do. But you also can educate everybody that follows us, and go, they're never going to take responsibility. They're never, you have no idea if that man or woman's had a bad day when they put those drums of product in there and they don't titrate them right and they don't put the right dilutions out or whatever, or they have something malfunctioning and they don't want to fix it that day. The person that's paying the price is the person in that car or in those cars coming through. That car wash, for the most part, especially as the investors have gotten bigger and bigger, they're not going to take responsibility unless they rip something off your car that you can prove with a camera or something. They put up these big things out here with these, they're going to get off the hook. And by the way, good luck figuring out who to talk to. They're not going to take responsibility. And so instead of attacking the car wash, I think you could make a lot of stuff for your customer and just go, these are the realities. And I'm not saying yay or nay or don't go into them, but we see more and more chemical burn probably now than we ever have. And let's be honest, we see that because of social media. Now there's more people on social media, using social media, whatever. So I'm not saying the number's actually bigger, but it probably is, because now you have car wash chains that have 200 locations being run by God knows who. And again, just screw up the dilution of an acidic pre-soak on a car or an alkaline pre-soak on a car, and it's toast. You're going to burn trim, you're going to burn wheels, you're going to burn plastics, you're going to burn paint, doesn't matter. And you can speak to it better than me. This is a lot easier than people think.
Yeah. And if they had happened to grab a quote unquote coating off of a shelf, well, which I joked with him, man, within a couple of washes, he goes, oh yeah, because especially you go through those touchless, the amount that we put on there, say, yeah, man, we're stripping that right off. Now the final, and that was literally what with the final, I said, Ryan, to even say more into it, I said, man, ultimately, if somebody got a coating, why are they at the car wash? I said, Ryan, ultimately we know that a ceramic coating, you got to maintain it yourself. Like, yeah. The maintenance on a coating, why are they going through these people's car washes, right? You're not going to say that to the lady, but she shouldn't even be having those customers at her place.
Yeah, and the other thing is she shouldn't be talking like an expert because she's the furthest thing from an expert. That's like talking to a GM of a dealership about ceramic coatings. I mean, they just don't. That's just not their world. And
They
but
know
they
it's good
will.
for the finance department.
Hey, but here's what I'll tell you: they sure will talk like an expert. Both of them. I mean, car wash owners and whatever. And look, we all have to say this together. The word ceramic has been overused. It's on everything. One of the things I saw was a solvent based tire shine with ceramic. That video had 1,000 likes, had about 200,000 views, a brand everybody would know. With the user, the brand wasn't putting it out, the user was putting out this information. If you take 10 seconds and look at the website, they don't mention that. This person made it up. 200,000 people saw it. You're not going to fight that, you know. And I think you and I have been a lot more the last few years, especially, of telling guys, stop fighting the arguments you can't win. You know, you're not going to, convince people that what's a ceramic coating, what's not. But little by little, you can grab a bottle of something and then show people a glass bottle of ceramic coating and say, this isn't coating and this is, right? This is what a coating should come in. I mean, simple things like that. We need to see more content around those things.
Mm-hmm. So that's ceramic coating on paint through a car wash and all that. Let's talk about another problem that somebody recently had around ceramic coatings. And this was somebody inside of our group that had bumpers that were oxidized. And I can appreciate it. He goes,
Yep.
hey, I just thought I could put, let me try and put the coating on first and just see if it fixed it, right? Like,
Sure.
yeah, I can understand his moment, right? Let me just see if I can do this quickly. Maybe I don't need the full extent of the bumper kit that we have. So why do we need to first clean? I guess let's start there,
Sure.
and then we'll go into what can we do if we got coating on a bumper. I don't know what he can do. That's why I didn't know what to say. I'm not
Sure.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, part of our trim cleaner product, which is what you're referencing, is if you go and you clean uh, plastic with our trim cleaner, one of the things it'll show you pretty quickly is that if you clean it and you see dirt on your towel, which all of you will, but that like white grayish hue comes back, it's probably going to have to be re-dyed. I'm not saying that's 100%, but that's how I would take it, because I just don't think dyeing trim is that big of a deal. I mean, I can dye trim in no time. It's simple. Dump a bunch of dye on an applicator, let it sit on the
Rub it in.
plastic. It's pretty easy. But one thing with our trim cleaner is it'll give you a bird's eye view, so to speak, of can I just go right in with trim coating? Um, all of our coatings are going to be friendly on trim. But guys, when you use our trim coating, you'll see, number one, it drips out a tiny little bit of a different color. It almost looks and is a little bit thicker when it comes out of your bottle onto your applicator. You'll be able to see it. It won't soak in quite as quickly, okay, because it is a thicker formula. And I kind of hate to tell people, don't do this. But at this point, if you're using our brand, the trim cleaner and trim coating, just like our glass coating, has made it easy for you just to carry it for that reason. Many of you are going to come across plastics, even if you own your own car, you're going to come across plastics on damn near every car all of us own at this point. So, buying a little 50 mil of trim coating and a 16 of trim cleaner is really not that big of a deal to just have the peace of mind. But the thing with the trim cleaner is it'll actually show you if the thing needs to be re-dyed, because what should happen when you use our trim cleaner, if it doesn't need to be re-dyed, your trim's going to look better just with the trim cleaner. You're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, this got it off. There's a tiny bit of abrasive in that formula. That's why in my trim videos, you see me, there's a lot of elbow grease behind trim cleaner and the towel. I'm trying to get any oxidation, any really deep dirt off of there. And also I'm trying to get it to have it show me what's going on. Is this so oxidized that I just need to dye it? And look, I did a Jeep video. You guys may all say it's obvious when you look at that front bumper. Yeah, I'm going to have to dye it. But there's people that have gone directly in with coating and it's been rejected. And I think we kind of saw it with that. And let me put everybody's mind at ease. We've all made the mistake. We've all made this mistake. Like you put a little coating on, you go. The only thing I would tell people is if you're questioning it, go behind the back wheel where there's some plastic that's kind of burnt, lightly burnt up, and put some coating on there and see what it does for you. Instead of doing the whole car and just hoping it all works out. But
Oh, that's
again,
good.
it's lesson learned.
So there's another post inside the group because I know the question is going to be asked. Well, how much should I get? Right, and there was a guy that
He was doing a
apologies,
lot
I
of
don't remember
vans.
his name.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of vans.
Yeah, there was a bunch of vans coming through, right? Like, so we've got a van or we got a couple cars, right? That's why we have that little kit that we were talking about. You get a 16-ounce bottle of the cleaner and a 50 mil bottle of trim coating, right? If you go, hey, I got a bunch of stuff, okay, grab yourself a gallon. It's there, but we don't think most people will really ever use a gallon. I mean,
No, we only
that
see
trim
like
cleaner goes a long way.
We've only seen like real heavy professionals, guys that are doing a lot of that stuff, or just like to have things on hand. If you're one of those guys that's just like, I never want to run out of stuff, just grab the gallon. That's the best move. Keep it in a cool, dry place. You'll be fine. I think you look at, it's very hard to tell people how far a trim coating is going to go because we're seeing so many different plastics. Some are extremely porous, like the Jeep I did. I mean, you could dump a whole 50 mil on a Jeep Wrangler plastic or a Bronco plastic. They're just so porous. Then you can get to things that just aren't that porous and aren't going to soak up a lot of coating. So I think the best case scenario is I got a lot of plastic to do, and that's the thing you say to yourself, then get the 16 ounce of trim cleaner, grab 2 bottles of trim coating and call it a day. Now, in this instance, this guy had a lot of vans to do. So, 3 or 4 bottles isn't out of the question because those plastics wear so poorly. They are usually pretty porous, and I would want to lay it on so thick just to make me feel better about how it's going to last. And again, guys, you keep your trim coating in something like a refrigerator or in a cool, dark place and it doesn't get opened, it's going to last you a pretty good amount of time.
Right. So inside the hyperCLEAN specialist group was where that was, and a couple other things that we're going to talk about. We found inside the specialist group, and with ceramic coatings, we got a couple of things in there. One that hey, not all of us realize, but there's some posts here recently that we're seeing more of. Our detailing quote unquote products. We fall into a group that other people call HI&I, right? So that's home, industry, and this is what I didn't realize until I had to look it up, institution, right? So schools, hospitals, stuff like that.
Sure.
Our chemicals are all grouped in with them. So when people go, hey, can I use the hyperCLEAN ceramic coatings on, right? And then they'll list off stuff inside the house. Yeah. I mean, it falls in the same category, home, industrial, and institutions. So you gave the response, which is a great response because people are going to, well, which one? I mean, Uno's great on everything. Now, if the bottle says glass, put it on glass.
Yeah. That's the move. We get asked a lot about stainless steel, and we've had a lot of somebody's do some really like elaborate stainless steel outdoor grill setups. I don't know if you remember that one that was like 60 or 70 grand in stainless steel outdoor appliances. I think this was like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. So guys, Uno stands up really well to high heat. Okay. That doesn't mean it's a more durable coating on paint. High heat doesn't equal necessarily more durable for paint. So a lot of people get confused and they go, well, I'll use Trey because it's a more robust coating. Remember, when it's going on paint, heat rejection's not really a concern because if all of them are good over 400 degrees, so let's just use a number. Well, your car paint gets to 400 degrees, your car's going to catch on fire. I mean, that's not going to happen. Okay. So, Uno's makeup, and part of what makes Stack and Uno together a little different is the high heat that Uno can stand up to is just usable on more surfaces. That's one of the reasons it doesn't last 5 years on paint because it is better on multi surfaces like metal stuff and things like that. Doesn't mean it's the perfect coating, doesn't mean anything like that, but it is a higher temp rating. But higher temp rating doesn't mean it's automatically a longer lasting coating. And so I know that can get confusing at times, but that's not apples to apples. That's not how it works.
Yeah, and great on granite. You can put it on pretty much anything. But if you got a shower door that's glass, like mine, like yours, like most, a lot of people have glass. Yeah, use glass. Now, just the same as the conversation with Ryan a second ago was, hey, if you got a ceramic coating on something, you need to maintain it. Sure. I had this conversation last week with a guy named Nate. You'll know him. He was saying, yeah, no, I put it on glass. My shower, I just walk right out. It's great. Ding. I'm like, no way, man. I wipe my shower still down every time we get out. That orange crushed towels, a perfect size for me. We just stick it on top over in the corner of the, right? It just sits right there. We wipe it down real quick. Like I'm surprised, like with him.
And then some glass cleaner. I mean, if you keep some glass cleaner near your shower, it works great. I mean, it just kind of reinforces everything. And I would just tell people this. Off-label is kind of something we all do. Okay, let's just say it out loud. We kind of all do it. But there is instances, like we just said with the trim question, with glass, like if there's something there, go ahead and use that something. It is a better product for that application.
All right, you said off-label. I love it because the next one was an off-label discussion. And this is, I really appreciate Donald. I appreciate when he tries to take some nudges. And I'm like, come on, my guy. Come on. Come on. What are we doing here? So Donald did have a question, and it was more of a, what's HC got to get all this pet hair, right? And it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
He said 2 hours.
I'll tell you what we have. I pass on those. That's if you want to know the surefire way of products that I use, it's the guy down the street might want to do that.
Oh, that was the best. We used to have, right? So we were a competitor at a car wash with, they were just a mile away, right? Another one. So if there was a car that we didn't want to do, they had a detail shop. We had a detail shop.
We'll send
if
you
it had dog poop or had a bunch of crazy stuff in it, we're not. But they are. They're equipped.
That's
right.
They
can do it.
That's my move.
Absolutely. But so questioning the amount of dog hair that is in there, right? So my tradition, my way to go, which my response to him, something I learned a long time ago, was take Ultra Dress. Now I would dilute it way down.
Yeah,
you do not want a 1-to-1. You better really dilute Ultra Dress or take some quick shine as it is. Spray it over. Now, what happens is inside of there, Nick, remind us what is inside of Tire Shine. Silicone?
I don't have any silicone in my dressing.
So that's what I'm saying. Rinseless, what people talk about is this encompassing, right? They use that word of polymers will encompass, encapsulate.
Big fancy words.
Big words, even bigger than mine. I wasn't even big enough to say it. So, but so I kind of use that analogy that think of that's the way the silicone inside of dressing does to the hairs, and it'll encompass or encapsulate the hair. Basically, you're just wanting the silicone all over the hair to reduce the static.
Yeah.
Once that static is done,
it takes away the friction, basically.
There you go. Then it can easily be, as Dustin said, blow it out. Great idea. You can stick the vacuum head right by the blower, so you're not blowing hair all over the place. There's nothing worse than that.
Hey, I would have been the guy blowing it everywhere. I'd have been like, oh, shit. The other thing, guys, is like things like fabric softener. If you got some around, but if the dressing weirds you out, but you've been sharing that tip for a long time.
It does weird some people out, though. It does.
Yeah, you got to realize once you dilute it down with water, guys, it's not going to like make it sticky or slippery, and you're going to vacuum it up. And by the way, I don't think you're saying pour it out. We're talking about just a little mist to get the static cling to go away. That's kind of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and you've gotten all the dirt out, hopefully. So you're not turning it up, right?
You're not trying to do all that. So there's a process here. So we need everybody to use a little common sense.
All right, so we'll close on the would you rather, right? Here we go. Would you rather talk about Salt Life going out of business?
Well, that's the greatest news we've ever heard. Okay, so people in Idaho aren't like Salt Life. It's like, no, we're good, dude. You're a long way from Salt Life.
Okay, I guess you're going to pass on that one.
Yeah,
So,
well, we just talked about it, so we're good.
fortunately, I knew you were going to be punting on it. But so, would you rather talk about Salt Life going out of business, or is Timu a valid place for buying lifts?
Yeah, the lift question is getting more and more, which I think is great. I have a lift here at the shop. It's a twin bush lift. If anybody, I don't even know. It's a German company. I'm not sure. The only reason I bought a twin bush lift, so everybody knows why I bought one here in Vegas, is their distribution center used to be in North Las Vegas. So they literally had all of their experts at my shop in like 2 minutes after I ordered it. But I mean, to me, if you're in the lift game, you're into things like Noose Bomb, Twin Bush. I know, or here's kind of bend pack, things like that. The one thing you guys can do is there's usually a lift company in your city. That's kind of what they do. I know we have one, if not three here. They carry and will service your lift. So if you're not comfortable working and just buying something over the internet and having it delivered, which I understand, most of you live in a big enough place that there's somebody that does mechanic shops and all those kinds of things, and they'll direct you on what to buy. You can buy it locally. They don't build it locally usually, obviously, but they support whatever they carry. They've been in business for a lot of years. I mean, usually these aren't fly by night places. And, just like if you wanted to buy like an industrial air compressor, there's all kinds of like local companies that do that. So that's the route I would go. But I mean, if you're in the Noose Bomb world and the bend pack world, if you're in the Twin Bush world like I'm in, I mean, so many of these companies carry that stuff locally, or those companies are so big they know how to deal with you. I don't think you can go wrong, but I just don't know that I would cheap out on a lift. It's one of those things like I'm just not sure I would take much risk with, because that car falls off that lift, you're going to feel a little different than I think you believe.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. I don't know if I'm going to go cheap when it comes to me getting underneath a
Yeah.
multi-ton vehicle.
And by the way, you buy a lift, so
well, so I want to go through what are the different lifts, right? Because I don't know, right? I haven't done a lift. I know it was mentioned like 4-pole lift. You mentioned like mechanics.
Yeah, so you have 4-post lift. Some PPF guys love big 4-post lifts that you can drive on a whole ramp. And the car, that's usually like transmission shops and different.
If we go to a dealership or if we got a mechanic shop, those are a 4-post lift.
Yeah, but most mechanic shops do 2-post, where they have the 2 legs that come out on each side, and they're just 2, and it just kind of hangs in the middle. That's like your oil change places and just general service, doing brakes, doing wheels, doing tire. Although it's still crazy to me when you go to a discount tire and there's like no lifts in there. Like, or they have one bay with a lift and the rest is like on a jack. It's like, man, that business must be killing it.
On the 5-minute oil change or 5 something. There's somebody that they always say, hey, you can get it from 5 minutes something. Yeah. So I send mom there because I used to go there some too when now I have a guy that comes.
They usually don't have a lift. They usually have a pit.
That's what I was going to say. They don't. They go under.
Yeah. So it's like that used to be like the big car guy thing, is if you could get your house permitted for to have a pit. That was like a big thing. I don't know. I guess it would still be a cool thing, but I don't know that many people are fighting the HOAs these days for a pit in their garage. But I look at it and I tell anybody this, like 4-post, 2-post, for most detailers, you're going to be looking at just a scissor lift. Some type of scissor lift is just fine. I have a scissor lift. That's what I have. So you just drive on it and it can lift up. But again, when you're in detailing, you're really getting the lift to save your back, get the car up higher, get to places other detailers or PPF shops won't get to. You don't have to lay on the ground. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff it's very worth it. And if you guys have had a good couple of years, like, yeah, lifts are great. You should definitely buy one. It saves your back. It saves some headache, but just do it right. I mean, there's been a lot, and you guys can look on the internet yourself, a lot of lift accidents in the world. So I'd probably just stick with something quality.
You see them we'd already talked about the shops and the different, but like you can see them, they go, like suddenly it starts to.
And dude, sometimes there's like people under the car and they're like, all this crazy stuff. Like I get asked the lift question a lot. I just tell people I just go with the highest quality one you can afford, but just call your local company if you're not comfortable with searching on the internet. There is somebody local that does it.
So I just always just buy a nade. I just always just go, well, why do I need that? Right? There's always going to be something to buy. There's always,
Let's be honest. You've been out of the detailing game on a daily basis. You'd have a lift right now.
so what I was going to say is when you mentioned about me bending down to get the lower rocker panels or something, yep. I go, okay, I could see definitely now me having a lift. Yes. Like, especially if I'm going to be polishing back, doing more polishing, like you're going to definitely want to help yourself out. Okay. There's one, but most people don't think of your own safety or your guy's back or helping your team. That's not really what most people are thinking when they go, should I get a lift? Most people go, well, what add-ons can I do now that I have a lift? Like, I'm sure polishing, better. And I'll vote, right? I'm in, right? We can all vote for that. What else is, what other reasons should I get a lift?
A lot of people in the North, Northeast, upper Midwest as a whole. I mean, you could probably make an argument at times in Tulsa, undercoating trucks, undercoating cars. We're talking about doing more business up in Canada. It's a big concern there. So undercoating is a big deal. I won't sit here and act like the foremost expert on undercoating. Although you and I came up in a time when you used to be able to take the stuff out of the spray can and sell undercoating at the wholesale or dealership level. I know you remember those days. Spray it in the wheel well, tell them you're really doing something. But undercoating seems to be something people like. Seems to be something that people find a need for. And again, I think I look at undercoating a little differently. I might do it a little differently than some, but that's just not my daily life, right? I live in a city where cars don't rust. If you're in California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, you don't really deal with rust issues. So it's not something, but it seems like, it seems like dirty work to me. So keeping your space clean and keeping all that would be kind of a challenge, but it seems like that'd be the number one reason.
So I had somebody here ask me recently, do I take wheels off?
Sure. I mean, there'd be another reason to have a lift.
Like I don't, never do, never plan on it. I'm the guy that also doesn't take the seats out. I don't want to touch and mess with my customer's stuff. Like I'm there to clean it, not take it apart and put it back together.
Sure.
But wheel coatings is definitely, a lot of people say you get a lift so that you can take off the wheels and coat the wheels.
Yeah, and look, you can coat the inside of the plastics. When you take the wheels off, you can get to the caliper, coat that. There's a lot of. I mean, it's a good point to bring up. I mean, if you're going to get into the wheels off coating, wheels off services, then a lift is. I mean, it's probably mandatory. I wouldn't want to be messing with a jack, time and time again if that's really a service I'm going after. And one of the things. I was talking to somebody kind of unrelated to hyperCLEAN that I'll say to everybody here. It's a little bit of a business thought. You're never going to get off the hook for the money it costs to do whatever you're trying to do. So if you are trying to go to these next levels and do these next services, whether that's PPF, tint, undercoating, wheels off, all that kind of stuff, there's a cost associated with it. So if you're already running away from the cost of doing the service is probably not going to be that successful. Because everybody that's in that service is going to tell you right off the bat, it costs to do it. So if they're already there doing where you want to get to, then there's going to be a basic cost to all of this. And I think, again, we see this in every facet of business, not just detailing. It's like, I want to go to the next level, but I don't want to pay the cost to get there. And so if anybody's listening to this and you're really starting to get into these other things, then you got to be ready to invest the cost of whatever that thing is you're trying to do.
All right, I want to have a discussion. Well, this is just a discussion. I'm going to ask a question. We'll discuss it. Okay, if I'm looking to grow my business, my detailing business, I do always have to think add-ons, right? Like things I could upsell, things I could, somebody's in and, this would be a good thing to add on. I'm from Tulsa. As you mentioned, haven't run a shop for many years, so I'm not an expert either. I'm just asking the question because I'm going to ask it and I can already say, and we can already go to the post to know who's going to come out and be so pro, like, yeah, pro, you got to do this. The undercoatings have, I put X amount of dollars into
Sure.
my business because now, right? So there's going to be some people that are like pro undercoatings. I'm going to ask the question though. If I'm looking in my business and I'm looking at things to add on, right? Is undercoating, is that something I should definitely go, or should I look at, hey, what in my lineup could I improve my sales on? Right?
Yeah,
Like
good point.
maybe I could sell more coatings.
Yep.
Like that would cover what some people are saying, hey, it's added X amount of dollars to my business in a year, right? That's annual. I think one number was 20,000.
Sure.
Okay. So 20,000 a year is a great add-on. It is a very wonderful service. It is.
Sure.
And 20,000 is good, right? Cool. That's what we're
$2,000 a
talking
month.
about. Yeah, $2,000 a month. I mean, stack 3 times a month covers that, right? Uno 3 or 4 times, right? I mean, I wonder how easily somebody could. I know we're talking about add-ons and if I should get this ramp and will undercoatings do that. But if I'm only really adding a couple grand per month,
Sure.
should I not just sell more coatings?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to, what you can do during the wintertime. What's an easier sell during the wintertime. I completely understand that.
Because we're not from there, right? So we don't.
Sure. I mean, but I think undercoating is valuable. But I also would say to everybody, one of the things that I'm seeing more and more people, and it's not necessarily in our group, I just, we have so many people contact us, we get so much stuff sent to us, and we look at so many things, and people, I would just tell everybody, if you can't efficiently sell what you're doing now and increase sales of those things, it's going to be harder to sell the add-on things at a high level. So now you're not really selling anything at a high level. And that's kind of your point in a nutshell, right? Which is, okay, just sell, one more 5-year or sell, a 1 year, a 3 year, and a 5 year. So you got to get 3 more customers a month to do that. The same goes for PPF shops that punted on ceramic coatings, and now they're running back as the economy's getting a little weak, and they're like,
Great point.
we need something that's not as expensive as PPF. It's like, well, this was always the highest profit margin. So if you look at a detail shop, and, we're seeing more and more PPF shops be honest about this, which is good in certain groups of PPF groups, is ceramic coatings are the biggest profit engine, meaning the most money you'll make for a service over anything else that you sell. There's some tint options and some people that sell tint at a high level that can make an argument that they make a ton of profit. But when it comes to like PPF, undercoating, all that kind of stuff, nothing's going to be as profitable as just selling more coating. It's just the amount of money you can make as an installer of a coating. It was a lot of money in 2010. It was a ton of money in 2015, a lot of money in 2020. It's still a lot of money in 2025. Okay. Everybody that grasps that concept, especially in our network that we get to see every day, but even people that come into our network, one of the most interesting things that we see is when you break down what you make on a coating, it doesn't matter what other service they have. They go, yeah, I should be selling more coatings. I mean, it doesn't matter. Largest shop you can think of, the smallest shops you can think of. When the numbers all break out and you really know the math, coating is still the most profitable service.
All right. So everybody that wants to know, okay, then how do I sell more coatings? We're not going to go through a whole process of everything of what all's entailed. But when you're talking to your customers, you usually mention a couple things of why they should get a ceramic coating.
Yeah. Well, I would say even deeper than that, we're seeing another problem. People don't know how to market them. I mean, there's one of the first biggest problems. Secondly, their packages are a mess. I had a conversation last week talking about packages for a business. And when I mentioned 1, 3, and 5 year or, 6+ month with no paint polishing, and I mean, it was like I was speaking a foreign language. I mean, you could put up a 4-package system, and if most people just got good at selling the 4-package system, 3-package system, whatever, the good, better, best type of world, just setting it up properly, they would instantly sell more coatings. So I don't even think it's about selling the features of the coating as much as being organized when you're talking to a customer so they understand what you're talking about, right? So for everybody that goes, I don't sell the longevity of a coating. Cool, man. That's not what Starbucks does. That's not what McDonald's does. That's not how the consumer's trained. The consumer's trained in a good, better, best situation. So if your packages are not organized that way, even for a general detail, right? You should have a good, better, best when it comes to just general detailing stuff. So I've seen a lot of chatter that detailing is not that profitable. It's not that profitable the way people organize their packages. That's why it's not profitable. And so they go, well, it's not profitable. And I go, you have one package. That's not that profitable. Okay. Because ultimately you sell the most of the mid-tier package, just so everybody knows the end result here. If you have a lower end package and a high end package, and you have a middle tier package, the American public buys mostly middle tier. That's that
I
would
always do.
yeah,
Like
that
I
would
always
be
do.
that'd be 90+%
Mhm.
of the consumer, from rich to middle class to everybody down the line. Very few people buy a small value meal. They buy a medium, and then some
But I don't need
people,
a large.
yeah,
Medium's perfect.
yeah. Now you get around me, I might get a large and a large fry, and let me get another burger, which is why I got to stay out of those places. But I really think people, before we get into anything about the coating and what it does for the customer, the vast majority of what you and I see, and this is just kind of the reality in our world, is we see unorganized packages, therefore confusing the customer on what you're selling.
So if it's an unorganized package, then when the customer goes, okay, so why do I need a coating?
Yeah.
I think there's the second point where people are going to start going, oh, and then they're just maybe going to say something like, well, it helps protect your car longer. It's can protect it for X amount of years. Right? Like there's no real reason for them to. It doesn't seem like when I'm reading things that people say, right? So don't misunderstand me. I'm not sitting there at detailers when
Yeah.
they're selling to customers. So I just read what people put online, and it seems like there's not really a very clear explanation of why that customer should get a ceramic coating. And if you don't know the answer to that to yourself, here's the answer. Well, here's why I put a ceramic coating on my car.
Yep. Yep. If you can't talk about your own experiences and why you put it on your car, you're not going to be able to talk to them. Right. So why do I put it on, my family SUV? Number one, we may end up keeping it a long time. I'm not sure. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that paint is very, very susceptible to damage. It's always been susceptible to damage. This gives it protection. This makes it last longer. This makes it look better longer. This coating allows it to be cleaner longer, so maybe I don't have to wash it as frequently. If family comes up and things come up, it's going to make your car look better. If you go to wash your car, it's going to be easier to wash. It's going to take you less time. All of those things are good points. But again, if your packages are messed up, and let me give people, somebody shared this with me, and I'm sure he'll be listening and he'll have a laugh about this. Somebody had their packages online. The package reads 3-year coating starting at $1,200. Right underneath that, it says coupe or sedan, $850.
What?
Starting at means the coupe and sedan would be $1,200, right? The next thing would be up from there. So think about somebody looking at this online, reading your headline, starting at 1,200, Cooper sedan, $850. So when everybody goes, well, that's not me, it's a lot of people. So if you're advertising this stuff on your website or app or whatever it is you're doing, does it look clean and simple for someone to read? So people always ask me, because we work on a lot of sports cars like Ferraris and Porsches and whatever. They go, what's your price? I said, the same price as a mid-sized SUV. What do you mean? Yeah, until I get to a large SUV, I'm not having a conversation about price. My 3-year coating is $1,500. It's $1,500. Why do I do that? Because I don't want all of these subsets to start to confuse the customer. Just not worth it. And yeah, maybe I make a tiny bit less on that midsize SUV than I do on the sports car. But if I do enough sports cars, I do enough midsize SUVs, it's all going to come out in the wash. I don't make things more difficult. Now, somebody rolls in with an F-250, somebody rolls in with an Excursion, somebody rolls in with a Lincoln Navigator. Am I having a conversation about some upcharging? Yeah, but I'm not going to put that on my website. I'll just say, hey, you have a larger SUV. It's $1,500, but it's an extra $250 because of your large SUV. Usually there's no discussion. Would I put that on my website? I wouldn't, personally. Okay. Meaning the price difference. Now, I don't even advertise pricing on my website because I just want somebody to call me because I'm confident in my ability. But remember, your organization trumps any feature of a coating, any feature of paint protection film, any feature of a detail. The organization of the way you sell your packages matters way more than all of that stuff.
All right, so not organization as in like company, but as in the way it's laid out.
Yeah, the way you organize your packages, because your customer needs to understand what they're looking at up front, and then you can talk about the features and the benefits when you talk to that customer, much more deeply. But if they go on your website and it says starting at $1,200, and then it sees a price right underneath it for $850, you've already confused them. You've already lost sales because you're not organized in the way you're talking about your packages. That's my 2 cents.
And there's something that I guess I've been thinking of more and more. It's not something I used on, to sell or anything. It's just, I think just more and more my experience is just, if I don't get to a car within a week or so, let's say something on the weekend I wasn't able to, or I was just fucking pissed off at my wife. I said, fuck you, you're going to have a dirty car, right?
Yeah, you just
like I didn't want to do it, right? Like, let's be real. What is it? I don't know. One or the other. But if it goes a couple of weeks, if a car's coated, it doesn't look as bad. It really does. People talk about self-cleaning. I think that's the wrong way to think. I don't understand what it means to self-clean. Do I know what it means to not look as bad?
Yeah. You keep it simple. And again, I just love the fact of, when my car's coated, I know it's going to take me less time to wash it. I know my car is going to look better. I know I have a sacrificial layer that's going to save my paint if something goes, like you said, you skip a week, you skip a couple weeks, there's a bird dropping you didn't see on the roof or something. You go there, it didn't mark up the paint. Usually doesn't even mark up the coating if you get to it quick enough. But at the end of it, that's what this is all about. And there's so many people worried about selling the coating instead of saying, does the customer understand what I'm selling?
Yeah.
Right? Which is this service. And then how do I make people understand what this service is on a basic level, and then get into the weeds a little bit with those customers that want to get into the weeds?
Then how do you keep that customer coming back so his or her car continues to look the same way year after year, month after month, week after week?
Yeah, our shops that are killing it with Sparta, like, they have people coming back for stack every year. Mm-hmm. Most of those people are coming back like every 6 months if they're really picky. And dude, there's so many ways to win in this. And again, if you're a DIYer and you really love your car, like putting something like Tray on and then stacking it every 6, 8, 9, 12 months, like, dude, you're going to be so far ahead of everyone else that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely true. All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you over in the HyperClean Specialist group on Facebook.
All right, guys.